Hi, my name is Amber. Welcome back to my channel, Books and Beaches. So I am back today for Booklist Thursday. I am so excited to join Lindsey at Lindsey's Little Library and Sarah at Sarah's Nightstand for Booklist Thursday. And we are back with our 5-star predictions wrap-ups. And as a reminder, this round we did 5-star predictions of books that were parts of series. And whew, what a journey it was. I decided to pick all books that were on my Kindle, which would help if I held it up the right way, because I had a bunch of books on here that were already parts of series that I needed to pick up and read. And what a perfect opportunity to join these two wonderful women and read them at the same time. So let's go ahead and take a look at what I rated my 3 choices. So as a reminder, my 3 choices were The Kind Worth Saving by Peter Swanson, Sunflower Sisters by Martha Hall Kelly, and The Gunkle Abroad, by Stephen Rowley. So I started with The Kind Worth Saving by Peter Swanson, and this was the second book and the follow-up to The Kind Worth Killing. And in this book, we are basically, the connection to the first book is that it is the same detective that we see in the first book. And so if you haven't read the first book, I don't want to give too much away, but it is a series that I feel like even if you haven't read the first book, I suppose you could jump into reading the second book. There are a few things that might be like spoilers, but you realistically could read it without having read the first book. Because there were definitely times that I found myself trying and struggling to remember what went on in the first book because I had read it so long ago when they made connections to that first story. So, I don't know. Other people might disagree with me, and it probably would be wise to read that first book, but I digress. So we have our detective, and of course, his name is escaping my mind right now. But he is approached by a former student of his, and he no longer works for the police department. He is actually a private investigator, and this former student has approached him to basically investigate her husband on whether or not he is cheating. And the story kind of goes from there. And I don't want to give too much away because, as with all thrillers, you shouldn't know too much going into this one. But there's a lot of little twists and turns, and he's looking into a couple different people, and you're seeing how different storylines connect, and I suppose how they connect to the first book. It is also told through multiple perspectives, which I did enjoy. So there were those positives to it. Now, when it comes to rating it, I did struggle a little bit, and I was kind of debating between a 3.5 and a 4-star, just because I do think I enjoyed the first book a little bit more. And when I went to look back, I did rate the first book a 4 or like 4.5. And so to me, this one just didn't catch my attention as much as the first book. So I am going to settle somewhere between like a 3.5 and a 4. So I enjoyed it, but I still think the first one is better. Now, I did find out that the next book that Peter Swanson has coming out is going to be part of this series. So, can't exactly remember the title. I'll link it below, but it is going to be part of the series. So, there's that to look forward to. All right, then the next book I picked up was Sunflower Sisters, and this is by Martha Hall Kelly. Now, this is part of the Lilac Girls series. And these books aren't necessarily books that you would have to read right in a row from each other because they're based in different time periods. So they are all based around the Woolsey sisters, which, come to find out, after reading the book and listening to the author's note at the end of this book, was a real life family in history, which I found fascinating. But this particular book was set during Civil War time, which I actually found very likable because it is a time in historical fiction that I feel like I don't pick up a lot of books about. And so I quite enjoyed reading this one, and actually I listened to it as well because I had this one on Audible. And this one, once again, was told between multiple perspectives, And the wonderful thing that the audiobook did about this, and I'm going to be talking about this in a different video that I just filmed, is that we had multiple narrators. So we get the different voices because you are getting a perspective of a woman that is from New York, and her family is a very prominent family in New York during the Civil War time. And so, you know, they're a very northern sided family and side with the Union. You are getting the perspective of a slave that is working on a plantation in Maryland, and Maryland is kind of considered one of those border states, so it's kind of iffy on, you know, where their feelings lie. And then you are getting the perspective of the woman that owns this plantation, and who obviously then owns this slave, who is originally from Louisiana, and so you're getting that southern accent as well. So and you basically are traveling through a very large period of the Civil War. One of the women ends up being a nurse during the Civil War, so you're getting that time period. And like I said, this has been a very popular topic lately. You're getting the perspective of our slave and what she goes through, and the process of her hoping to kind of, you know, escape her slave life, and then the slave owner and what she does to try to be able to keep her slaves. So it's an all very interconnected, intertwined story that I found really, really interesting. Now, there were a few things that I struggled with. I felt it got a little bit slow in the middle. I mean, I think it was like a 17 or 18 hour audiobook. So I felt like it was a little bit longer than it needed it to be. It could have used a little bit of editing, which kept me from rating it a 5. I think I'm going to settle on like a 4, 4.5. Just because, yeah, there were just the things that could have been cut out or edited out. But overall, I think this was a great historical fiction read, and I would definitely recommend this whole series because I really did enjoy these books by Martha Hall Kelly. So there was that one. And then the final book I did finally just finish. I had started this one back on my vacation, and there was nothing about it that was keeping me from it. It just was one that I just kept forgetting to pick up once I got back to work here, and that was The Gunkle Abroad by Stephen Rowley. Now, this one actually comes out in May, but it is a sequel to The Gunkle, and we are back in the world with Gup, or Uncle Patrick, and he has been called back by his brother to come help support his niece and nephew, which is similar to what he does in the first book. And in the first book, his best friend is the wife to his brother, and she unfortunately passes away, and his brother asks for support helping with the kids, and the kids come and stay with him for a summer. And now in this book, his brother is getting remarried, and once again, the kids need their uncle's support. And so we get to spend time in these beautiful scenery of Italy at this really high class villa, because the woman that the children's father is marrying is kind of a, not royalty in Italy per se, but very high society Italian woman. And so they go through a lot of different shenanigans because the kids aren't so keen on the fact that their dad is getting remarried again. And Patrick is just a very sarcastic and very self-centered character, and he has a lot of lessons that he likes to teach the kids. And so there's a lot of humor in this book, and I just quite enjoy the writing style that Stephen Rowley has. Not only did I enjoy the first Gunkle book, but I enjoyed a couple of other things that he has wrote as well. So there are times where I think you do get quite annoyed with Patrick's character, and it's hard because I think it's written on purpose to be that way, but at the same time that it's holding you from wanting to love this book as well. But at the same time, I found myself at the end just loving all of these characters, and just it pulls at your heartstrings. So this one is probably as close to a 5-star as I could get. I don't know if I can push it all the way to a 5-star, but it is so close. There just is a few things that are holding me off there, but if a book on this list was going to be a 5-star from the predictions, this one would definitely be it. So it's hard for me to just push it all the way there, but so I know that all of these were predicted to be 5 stars, and they might not have made it, but that's okay. You know, that's what reading is. And either way, I did enjoy my reading experience with all of these. None of these are bad books by any means, and you know, rating is just so hard and it is so subjective. So make sure you go today and check out what Lindsey and Sarah's books ended up being rated. I can't wait to see what they are as well. As always, if you like this video, feel free to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.